Airsofter World Games, the mission-based international competition. And the company behind the Airsofter World Games saw its light in 2014, where it was a hub created for the airsofters in Ukraine. And in 2020, Airsofter World went global to not just be a hub for Ukraine, but for all airsofters around the world. And Airsofter World is active in all parts of the airsoft community and support where needed. But by just connecting the dots, you will not keep a sustaining platform. You need to bring the people together in a certain way. So Airsofter World didn't stop and they went forward to find a solution to be able to do that. And this brought us to the Airsofter World Games. And Airsofter World Games are connecting all those little parts together into one big entity that needs to work together to be able to have a successful competition, international league, or whatever you want to call it. And to be able to have everything working together will not be easy. But it is the only correct way to go forward and grow Airsoft internationally. And Airsofter World is not just talking about it, we are actually already doing it. Now, the Airsofter World Games are mission-driven. That means that the mission is the center of the game that you play. There are specific rules enforcing the team play and the specific mission gameplay. And those specific rules guide the player in the correct direction. And while the rulebook is still in the draft version, we're already doing the first test games. And Airsofter World launched their timeline not that long ago. And actually the first test events already happened in Belgium. And 2024 will be the year of the test games. It means that we will do all the testing and you give the feedback and we will adjust to make the best thing possible. Like I said, we already had the test game in Belgium and looking forward to have one in Sweden, and a few different countries are waiting to launch their first test game in their country. 2025, that will be the year with the first national games. We don't know yet how the games will be organized or what the competition is gonna be like, and that's why we have 2024 to figure that all out. But 2025, we're gonna have the first national games. So there will be a national game in Belgium, and probably there's going to be one in Sweden, and most probably there are going to be more in different countries. That doesn't mean that it stops there, because we're still going to have test games in 2025 for different countries that want to join the competition to have even more participating countries. And then the logical thing, 2026, we will have the first international competition with all the countries that had a national competition in 2025. And we don't stop there, we just keep going for the next year, the next, until we grow with as many countries as possible. And let's go back to the first Belgium test game we did, and we had about 22 players competing in 4 different teams in different rounds, competing for, well, it was a friendly competition, but still there was a competition going, so people are competing for the first prize. All the players had an amazing time and we got amazing feedback from all the players. So we're looking forward to do the next test game in Belgium with the updated rulebook. And important about the Airsofter World Games that it is a partnership. It's not just loose entities doing something, it's not just one company forcing it to everybody else. No, it's a partnership between all the different parts in Airsoft. And that is the players, the teams, the organizers, the shops, the manufacturers, the media, the field owners, and don't forget the associations. And by not only including, but also partnering up with all those partners in the Airsofter World Games, you will create a very strong base to work on. And that strong base will ensure that Airsoft keeps growing in the future all around the world. The players. Airsofter World Games puts an extra layer to what the player usually go to on a Sunday game. And by giving the player a purpose in Airsoft, not just go to a Sunday game and shoot other people or do a big milsim game that stops. No, you give them a purpose to train, to perfect their gear, to perfect the way that they communicate with their teammates. And by giving them a purpose, the people will be more engaged into Airsoft, which eventually will lead into people staying longer in the game, which will lead into a growth of Airsoft players around the world. Because for most of the years, Airsoft has been quite stable. We have people coming in, we have people dropping out. But now we need to start working on an increase again on players. So we have more fields, we can have Airsoft recognized as a sport, and we can do a lot more with Airsoft. Because don't forget, the player is the key of any community. If you don't have any players, we can have the nicest fields, we can have the best shops. If nobody's playing the game, nothing will work. Teams. Airsoft teams come and go, but they fall apart because they are lacking the purpose and people just stop playing. Now, if you go back to the player, if we have people that are more engaged in it, the teams will last longer and teams will have a purpose to exist. They will be rooted for by other players. People will try to follow them because they are competing in the competition to see how they are doing. And also, as soon as Airsoft is a sport in every country, that will mean that you are not just a group of friends playing Airsoft, it will also mean that you are a registered sport team. That will mean that you will have options to get subsidized, or you will be able to find money in your country or your city to be able to participate in competitions and just do whatever you like to do. In short, teams of friends will transform into actual sport teams, which is a big difference in what we do and how the public sees us. Organizers. And that's one of, well, they're actually all crucial parts, but organizers is crucial for a specific part, and that is their field and their know-how on how to organize games. Because Airsofter World provides a sandbox to the associations, and then the associations work together with the organizers to compete and make the games. If you don't have the organizers included into that, it will be just a lot of people doing the same thing as they are already doing, but in a different way. Like I said, we need to stick together and work together and use the know-how that already is in the community instead of trying to invent the wheel again. And organizers know the strength of the fields that they play on. They know which bridge is important. They know the tunnel system is really cool to play in. They know that specific building it would be awesome to have a competition in. Let's use that know-how to make the best competition games possible. And besides the know-how of the field layout, it will also draw more people to the specific field. Because as we all know, Airsoft is very bubbled. And we have a bubble there, we have a bubble here, we have a bubble somewhere else. And it's very difficult to go into that bubble and find a new field outside of your comfort zone. By having more fields that people know about, it will increase the people going to different fields and try fields because, well, there was a competition there. Let's try out that field because it looked very interesting. And that will make sure that people start playing around on different fields, which will increase their enthusiasm and their engagement in the sport again. Because playing on the same field for years, that will be boring after a while. But if you start playing around on different fields and you can see new organizers, try new game modes, and that will increase your happiness, your interest, it will make sure that you play longer because you have more options to play. The field owners. Well, field owners and organizers usually go hand in hand. That is not always the case. In some cases, the organizers rent the field from the field owners, but in other cases, there are field owners that put their fields open for other people to use. And that might increase the way that the fields is used because now there are only the games that we have on Sunday or Saturday, but that might open up an extra option for field owners to rent out the field for people that want to train on that field. If they want to compete in the competition, it is a good thing to know the field layout before they go to the competition itself. Associations. Associations is a difficult one. I've been the president of the Belgian Airsoft Association for a while now, and it is hard. Airsoft associations are an entity that most players, they don't care about. But it's one of the core things that you need to have in your country because they are doing all the work behind the scenes. They are talking to the media, they have contacts with the government, they have political influence, and they are a legal entity for all people in your country to talk to. Because those associations are a key for a stable growth in your country for Airsoft. And if you all support our associations, they will be able to do more for Airsoft in our communities. And that's why associations in the Airsofter World games is a key partner. The association will be the first line in the country for all communication towards the international competition. They will handle the competition in their country. They will talk to organizers, they will talk to field owners, and they will set up the whole competition and how the competition will be run in the country itself. And that will be communicated internationally with all the other associations to form a bigger alliance. Shops. And when the amount of players will grow because people are more engaged into Airsoft, the shops will benefit from that. Now, besides that, it will also give the benefit for the shops to have an outlet to show the shop itself, because you will have international competitions, you will have national competitions, regional competitions. It gives an option for the shop to show who they are, what they do, and where they are. So they can set up banners, they can set up shop, they can talk to the organizers or talk to the associations to be involved in the specific competition. Because we all know how difficult it is now on social media to bring out something about airsoft in the world. Manufacturers are a little bit the same as shops. They need a way to show their brand to the people. And Airsofter World Games will give an opportunity for those brands, those manufacturers to be able to show themselves to the player and what they do. They might even do specific competitions for specific things, specific brands. Everything is possible as long as we communicate on an international level. Media. Magazines, streaming, YouTube channels, other media channels, you name it, there is somebody doing it. It might be interesting to have something new to show to the people, something that we didn't have before, something to be engaged in. And if you want to follow the Airsofter World competition itself, you need to find a way to do that. And that is why the media partners are so important. And like I said in the beginning, every little piece of the puzzle has its own know-how. For example, media. They know how to bring it to the people in their way. I don't have that much ideas on how to print a magazine or how to edit something for a magazine. You go and you partner up with specific people that already have the know-how how to do it. And for example, I want to sit down at home and I want to switch on my computer and I want to watch the National World Game Championship in Italy, for example. I want to see what is going on, I want to follow that, I want to see who's winning, I want to see what they're doing, how they're competing, and that is why the media is so important. And you might have noticed that Airsofter World Games is not just a competition. It is a way to strengthen everything that we do in Airsoft and bring everything closer together. And that is the core thing that Airsofter World wants to do. We want to combine, we want to unite, and we want to strengthen the Airsoft community. And it will not be easy. But in my opinion, it's the only correct path that we can take to strengthen the community, bring everything together, and work together for a bigger Airsoft community around the world. And that's exactly why Airsofter World started the Airsofter World Games, bringing everything together. And while the testing is still going ahead, and if you want to have something in your country, if you want to have a test game in your country, just contact me or anybody else of Airsofter World and we will help you setting it up. We will send you the draft rulebook and we will go over how we did the previous test games and what the updates are on the rulebook itself. If you as a player, you want to compete in one of those competitions, don't hesitate to talk to your organizer and be like, hey, we want this. Can you make this happen? And then we will work it out together and have a test game in your country. And then next year, there will be your first national game. And while the testing is going full steam ahead, we are still looking for countries that want to do the test games. We are still looking for associations that want to jump in the deep end and run a test game for their people in their country. And if you have any questions, you as a player, as a team, as an organizer, as a media partner, as anything that I just mentioned, don't hesitate to contact me and let's get talking. Let's communicate about how we can make this thing a lot bigger. And this was my long speech about the Airsofter World Games, the first test game, and what we're gonna do in the future. And this week's video was a lot of talking about the Airsofter World Games and Airsofter World, but yeah, I'm quite passionate about it and I will not stop being passionate about it because I believe that this is the right way of going forward in growing Airsoft communities. And as you have seen on my website, it is something that I like to do, bringing people together. But next week there will be another video about something else, but it's gonna be Airsoft. So I hope I see you all next week for a new video, but for now, have an amazing day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.